Ah! Oh, no. Yeah, you started so wide on that first one. Yeah, you were hitting that.
I'll probably more like I'm going to hit you.
Yeah, no, man.
Are we rolling, are we?
Yeah, you're right. Right here?
Hey, do it as quick as you can with that.
Yeah, and then
Like a
try and
practice.
replicate.
Yeah.
No, dude, you...
That was pretty good.
Nah,
You gotta
I'm
do one.
nicking it though.
No,
I'm nicking
that was
it.
good. That was good. Full sneak and we'll start.
Nah,
He's
can't do it.
taken down.
Can't do it.
Alrighty, guys, we're sitting down with Elijah Wiese, mate. It's cracking.
Oh, mate, thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
It's been fun. It's cold. Bloody cold.
It's cold,
Yeah.
yep. So a little bit of an intro. We're down here filming for the BBC, the Bike Build Championship. Get your mind out of the gutter. You can probably actually see them in the background.
You can probably see John.
You can see little Johnny
Little
over
Johnny.
there. So we're down here in northern Victoria at Chukamoa, where I live. The boys have come down. We've had a bit of fun. You'll see that later on the socials. And we're going to have a bit of a chat, mate.
I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, I reckon. I mean, we've had beef for a while.
Yeah, I mean...
We've had knee brace beef for a while.
yeah.
We've had knee brace beef for a while. But we've always talked about doing something, so it's good to be here and finally
Well,
do
this nearly didn't happen because you walked in the door yesterday and you had a set of knee guards on.
it. I pulled up to 20 metres down the road and I was like, I got to put my knee pads on. And,
It brought up a bit of past trauma for me.
Yeah, I thought it might. I just got to psych out everyone.
Yeah, I've been a little bit off.
Nah, it's good to be here, and I love talking
Yep.
about bikes, about whatever, and
Yep.
you love talking, so yeah.
Yeah,
so-
awesome, mate. Well, I've always respected what you do because I don't know, I'm a big fan of it. You know, like racing's obviously people look at who wins this and that, but
Yeah.
personally, I think what you do, like as far as being an entertainer and getting your name out there and the way you promote yourself, I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
Big fan of it. So I think you do an awesome job there.
Yeah, thank you. Dude, like honestly, like I've raced. I mean, we've raced years ago, 2012, 11, Supercross, and done it for a long time. And you don't make any money from it, you know. So, kind of find ways that you can, I guess, stay relevant.
Yep.
Is probably the best way to put it. And then, post out cool content and like, yeah, racing's fun. But you know, I'm 30 now and like on the backside of it, and I just enjoy riding my bike, and
Cool.
and I just like I enjoy people watching stuff that either I create or someone creates, and then them saying that they want to ride or that they love riding because they watch it. So that's like,
Yeah.
I love that. Love
That's
that
cool.
stuff. Yeah,
Like the lifestyle side of it.
yeah, kind of like, because you know, Australian Supercross, there's what 5 dudes that are full time, and
Well,
the rest of us work, and
Yeah.
like you know, so it's not realistic to like look at those 5 dudes if you're an everyday just a weekend warrior.
Mhm.
It's not realistic to look at that and be like, I want to be like that. So kind of like that guy where it's like, oh well, he still works 4 to 5 days a week,
Yeah.
and still goes and races and still enjoys it, and then they can kind of relate to it, I guess.
Well, you're like, I guess you'd say like a household name in the sport of motocross. Like pretty much anyone who's in the sport would know who you are.
For good or bad.
Take that as a compliment.
For good or
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, we've seen a few, like ejecto photos in the moves and stuff like that.
yeah, couple crashes.
What do you reckon your career earnings are?
Oh, dude. Honestly, like in Australia, minuses.
What?
100% minuses. But
So
like,
we're looking at like cost of entry fees versus what you got back. I
oh,
guess.
you go minus every year. If
Yeah.
you're not on like a team or you know getting a salary or you know have some decent sponsors, you're in the minuses.
Yep.
Like I'm not doing it for money.
Yeah.
I just do it because I love it and.
It's more of an
um,
insight for the average person.
yeah,
Like, oh, I
yeah.
know Elijah, like he races, does really
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So you know, I'm not really in it for the money, but like I made more money racing one round in India than I probably have my whole career here in Australia. You know, so
What do you
yeah.
think that is? Because like
I don't know. It's
India's
hard.
not probably a hot spot for
No,
being a
they
motocross
just-
athlete, but
I think they would. I think the biggest difference from what I experienced in India to here was the program they ran or how they ran it was so based around supplying for the riders.
Yep.
So they were all like the promoters or whoever was running the events they were worried about the riders and the riders only. Sort of everything after that was like secondary, I guess. Like
Gotcha.
whereas I think here and maybe in the States or here especially, like it's more focused on let's put on a big show for the fans. And I get the fans bring the money, but it's not so much of like what can we do for the riders, what do the riders need, blah blah blah. It's more like they build this big series, looks really good for crowds, it looks really good from the outside, but then for the riders it maybe not so good. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest difference. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess to give the people at home a bit of a rundown, like the rider that wins a Supercross series, will just go MX1, would get what, say, 100 grand?
Oh, probably not even here in Australia.
Yeah.
I mean,
Championship bonus.
championship bonus. Like
around
if
the
you're
100 mark,
I mean, if you're a factory rider, I'd say you'd be maybe in the six figures.
Yep.
But like to put it like if you make a main event here in Australia and you get 20th, which is the last place in that, you make $350.
So
which is not even
it's
not even your entry.
If you're winning 100, maybe like good season, like the winner might get 100. Second might be looking around probably 40 to 60 odd.
Maybe.
Third sort of maybe 20 to 30 odd.
And then it drops off pretty quickly.
Like you're in the negatives.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's pretty well always been in Australia, to my knowledge.
Yeah, well, I got in 2022, I got ninth for the season in the 450 class.
Yep.
So like for me, that was awesome. Top 10, on a 450 privateer. I think there was like one or two privateers in front of me, and then it was me. So we were, the top privateers before the factory riders, and I made, maybe $1,000 throughout all the rounds. So you look at it like you're the ninth best rider in Australia that year. In any other sport, whether it's footy or basketball or soccer, if you were the ninth best player, you would be earning hundreds of thousands of dollars. I get it's a numbers thing, and
it's a funny one, yeah.
There's not as many numbers in Supercross that there is other sports, but there's got to be a little bit more there.
Yeah, I wonder where the disconnect comes from. Is it like there's just not as many people in attendance, so the promoters don't make as much? Do the sponsors of motocross just not see the return on the product that they sell?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. Certainly one that's always been a hot topic, a hot debate. But it's cool to see you going again this year, racing.
I think so. Yeah. I usually decide pretty late. Yeah, 30 years old, so we're in the vets class now. But I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'll get on a track soon and just make my mind up as I go. Like I don't want to say I'm definitely racing and then not be ready and then have to sort of race unprepared like I did last year. It just didn't work out. So I'll get on a track soon and kind of make my mind up from there. Still figuring out bikes and stuff like that. But I love Supercross. Motocross, I'm not. It's whatever. I don't really enjoy motocross too much.
As in, like the discipline of it, or the setup of the series?
Just the discipline. I'm not one to just go out there and try and flap off the thing for 30 minutes. That's not me. Like I've always enjoyed jumps. I've always enjoyed like the more technical aspect.
So you don't like the last 5 minutes, cool them, moto,
nah, try to. Does anyone? Does anyone?
I mean, maybe Jed Bateman and Cole Webb.
Yeah, well, that's true. But I think the when that switched last year, I raced a few nationals, and it was Horsham National. It was like 25 minutes deep or 20 minutes deep into this moto, and Wilson Todd laps me, and he's just flapping off this thing, going side to side, pin.
Yep.
And I think at that moment, I was just like, you know what? I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be out here riding on these tracks for that long, just on the edge. So Supercross is like a little slower, like more technical riding. I think it's just a little bit more sort of slow-paced, skill-based riding.
Yeah, Supercross is perfect for the older riders. Like, obviously, it's a less time on the track. It's more of a skill-based competition rather than just like sort of fitness and strength. Obviously, still important.
Yeah.
But not up there as much. And then it is the trend, like you say, Justin Brayton, Dean Wilson's. Man, they're still competitive at like. How old was Brayton and Reed? They were like 36, 37 years old.
40, yeah.
So you don't even like, you probably haven't even hit your prime yet, mate.
No, I think I've still got another, like, if I want to, I think I've still got another maybe 4 years that I could do it, whether I want to or not. I sort of like, if I get through, last season was so crap, crashes and injuries and stuff. So if I get through this season healthy and somewhat, okay results, then I might just be like, cool, I'm happy with that. So we'll see.
And so what, mate, like at the end of the season, you sit down, obviously the money, you lose the money, you don't care about that. What does make it worth it to you? Is it just having fun? You improved? Do you care about getting good results? Like what's the motivator?
I think like one of the big motivators, honestly, is like just trying to better like not your results, but just yourself every year a little bit. The results, I don't really care too much. Like, if I can make main events, cool. I'm happy with that. But honestly, I just love being around it. I love the sport. I love the people in the sport. Like basically all my mates are from motocross or supercross, and then just all the people that hang out and all the sort of the fans that are around supercross is pretty cool. And it's been really cool the last couple of years. There actually has been a decent-ish sort of fan following and people coming up and saying hey, and that's pretty cool. So that kind of just keeps you coming back, and enjoying it.
You're definitely, like, if I was to say, what are your strengths? It's definitely that, like, community aspect,
Yeah.
vibing with the people. I don't think
Yeah.
you'd be a person in the pits that'd have a bad word to say about you. Like, everyone's rooting
Depends.
for you.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we won't. No.
Yeah.
When I was racing.
Yeah. Nah, it has been really good. Like, it has been
Yeah.
really cool, and
You're definitely a fan. Like,
I'm like,
yeah,
I'll
a fan
I'll
favourite.
be there talking in the pits to, you know, people just coming by, and then my mechanic will be like, hey, like, you actually got to be like on the line.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, it's all good. Like, you know,
Yeah.
just pretty loose vibe, but that's what makes it fun for me. Some riders are got to be locked in, got to be serious, got to be, you know, some riders that's what they do, and I'm kind of the opposite of that. So
Yeah, that's cool. That's
yeah,
good to see.
yeah, it's good fun.
I mean, yeah, like, if you didn't have that in your life, you weren't racing, like, what else could compare to, like, going lining up at Marvel Stadium?
I know, there's nothing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so, like, whether you're
Yeah.
there to win or get 20th, who cares? Like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
an experience in and of itself. So it's
Yeah.
cool to see you. A lot of people have, I'm probably one of them, like, the ego get you. Like, for me, I would never
Yeah.
line up to, like, I just couldn't.
If you didn't get results,
It's like you're all in, and
yeah.
it kind of takes the fun out of it. It's
Yeah.
like, fuck, like, I want to do it, but then I don't really want to get beat. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it's so awesome to see you just enjoy it, and I think that's why people relate a lot to you and what you do.
Yeah, I think that's like why I'm probably am still going, because I was never really an Aussie champ or like at the top of the sport. So like I'm kind of like never really been, you know, a guy to win like yourself, you know. So for me, it's not like if I get 15th or 20th or whatever it is, like it's all just
Just there
fun.
having
Yeah,
fun,
I'm just there having
100%,
fun.
yeah,
So
It's a
like,
cool way to be.
yeah, like obviously getting good results is sweet. And you know, when I was 9th for the season, like that was like a dream come true.
Yeah.
But it's not like, for me, it's not like I'm going to a race going, I need to get 15th.
Yeah,
or I need to get
it's like the
12th.
cherry on the cake, but the cake
Yeah,
is just being
yeah,
there
exactly. And if I can
enjoying it.
ride good and that puts me in the main event, then sweet. If I don't quite make the main
Yeah.
event, that's all sweet. I rode good. It's no worries.
I mean, with all that said, though, like, if people understand you sort of there, you have fun, you enjoy yourself, the results you get, like, if you lined you up just against the average rider, like, incredible. Which is, I find really impressive, like, to be working during the week, you're not doing it full time. I think you said you rode 3 times before that.
Yeah.
Just to get around a Supercross track,
Yeah.
only riding it 3 times in, what, probably 12 months?
Yeah.
10 months, like that. I mean, you put me on a Supercross track 3 times, I ain't lining up.
Yeah.
Anyway, like,
it was a rough season. Like, I had surgery 3 weeks before on my arms. I had some issues with my arms. I had 3 days on a Supercross track.
Yeah.
Like, we had one setting, no testing, and then went to the first round. And the thing that actually got me is I actually did all right at the first round. So I was like running like 12th for most of the main, and then didn't have the tank in me, and I faded. But
Yeah.
then I was like, that kind of set me up to fail for the rest of the season, because I was like, oh, sick. Like,
So
we're
what did you
actually
finish
gonna
that
be
season?
in Redcliffe in the first round, I think I was like 16th or 17th.
Dude, that's still like...
But the first 10 minutes of the main, I was like 11th, 12th.
That's crazy.
So I was like, kind of like, oh, we actually might be all right.
Yeah.
And then crash, and then crash, and then crash, and kind of just went backwards. But yeah, so like it's hard to, because in my mind, I know that I can do it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, if you don't ride, you don't prep, you're working, you
Yeah.
get onto a track, and it's like your body doesn't link up with your mind, and it's
100%.
just, it's a little bit tricky. But
It's still so impressive, though. Like, every now and again, I'll get people hit me up just to ride Supercross. These are just like average riders,
Yeah.
like big race, whatever. They just want to sort of have a go, because you watch it on TV, and like, admittedly, it does look
yeah, it looks
doable.
Yeah,
It's like, cool, I could
the
hit
whoops
that. Like,
look
it's
flat, eh?
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
fine. Like, you hit third out of the corner, sweet. And then the first thing, you're always like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize how steep everything was, how peaky. I overjumped one thing, and now I'm whiskey throttling.
Yeah.
And then the next lane, like, it's so
Yeah.
so much harder than what the average person would give it respect for.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
then say you like, just sort of, working and doing it. It's
I
impressive.
wish that like more people could get on the track after a main event, or
Yeah.
like, you know, like, so they could actually see, because
100%.
even at Melbourne, I went up into the stands, and you're looking like, oh, those whoops look so flat. The
Yeah.
rhythms look, you know, nice and rolled.
Yeah.
And then you get on the track, and everything's peaky, and you start stressing. So I wish that more people could actually see that.
Yeah.
But it's whatever. I've always been like a decent jumper as a kid on 65. I just wanted to hit all the jumps and stuff. So that's kind of like where I sort of, you know, my timing's decent. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And then outside of racing, or what's your typical week? What are you doing?
So I did have my own signage company, so wrapping cars and doing shop signage, and I ran that business for nearly 7 years myself, and that's obviously the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I've actually recently sold that and sort of gone part-time with that company now. So sort of just working part-time with them. So, yeah, I'll work 3 or 4 days a week, try and train in the mornings 3 or 4 times before work, and then maybe get on a bike once a week. Which is not enough, but it's all I can do. And then I'll be on a mountain bike or something the other day or two. So I try and do as much as I can, but it's sort of, I don't know. I actually think that that's, as I get older, I enjoy trying to make it all work more.
Okay.
Like as a teenager or early 20s, like that's like, oh, this sucks. It's so hard. It's so hard.
As in, you mean like the balancing act of your time?
Yeah, but now it's like, now because I get to ride less, I enjoy the process of like the work, the training, the riding more now, and I sort of wish I had that years ago.
Yeah,
but,
gotcha.
Yeah, I actually enjoy it now because it's like, it makes everything a little bit sweeter when sort of all works out and pans out.
Yeah, that's definitely one part I miss, is like having that, like it's cool to be fit and stay in shape and be healthy, like you kind of do it because you have to sort of thing, but when you've got that goal of going racing, you get your routine. That's how people always ask me, do I miss racing? I'm like, the racing was cool, but it's that lifestyle, man. Like when you wake up on Monday, you're like, right, this week I'm going to get better at this, I'm going to get better at that. It's so simple and easy to do. Rather than waking up and like, fuck it, this problem, that problem.
Even on the race day, like race days are pretty miserable, to be honest. Like as far as the racing goes, the nerves, you're scared, you're whatever. But then it's like the day after, and you're like, man, that was sick. Like you think about it, and you're like, man, that was so cool. Like what I just got to do last night in front of 20,000 people was so cool. But on the day, it's like, this sucks. Why I'm doing this? Like, I think pretty much every main event last year, or every race at Supercross, you're sitting on the line, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And then you get going and you get through the main event, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. That's what I do. Like, so it's hard. It's a balance.
It's so crazy that like never leaves you. I even hear like Ricky Carmichael will do podcasts. So I hated it. Like I didn't like racing. Someone else really famous, I think it was George St. Pierre, UFC fighter. He's won like nearly every fight he's ever had, and he just hated it with a passion. Like the competition days, it's such a weird thing, but you don't get that feeling or that adrenaline rush anywhere else. So when you pass it, you go, man, I really enjoyed that. I guess that keeps you coming back.
Well, and I think that's why like the last few years, like I've tried to enjoy it more and just have more fun with it and enjoy like the time at the races and spend a couple of days either side of the race at the city or wherever we're racing, because usually you're in, race, out, and now I'm trying to just soak everything up and enjoy it all, because I know it's not going to last forever, obviously.
No.
So just trying to enjoy it for what it is, and I think that's probably kept me going a little bit the last couple of years as well.
And now you've got a pretty good profile, like within the sport. You do a lot of promo stuff and things like this. Like, were you in a movie or something? What was that all about?
Yeah, so my older brother's actually an actor.
Gotcha.
And then I've always thought like being in movies is cool, because who wouldn't want to be a movie star? And then they actually needed a stunt double for a rider, for a motorbike rider.
Nice.
So he gave me the call and was like, we need a stunt rider. It's not that I did many stunts, but I needed to double someone, and doubled in a movie for a little while. And Adelaide, that was sort of, we were filming throughout Supercross, so I was like racing on the weekend, having to drive back, film for a week, and then drive to another race and film for a week. But that was a cool experience. It's something I definitely like to do more of.
It does seem to be a little bit of like a career trend for some people. Like I know Cody Mackey's done it, maybe Dan Reardon. There's a few others that have, and it does make sense. I mean, you probably still get that same rush and adrenaline from doing a stunt. On a movie, preparing for it. It's kind of like the main event. I've got to do it now. It is a really cool experience, and like they look after you really well. You make money, like you actually get paid. I know. Well, it's crazy. You're on the block.
That's what I was saying. Like they wanted me to ride along this gravel road, and they're like freaking out that it's too fast, too dangerous, and then at the end of the day, I can pay like $800 a day.
Like, man, I spent $1,000 to go and hit a triple.
I was like, you're gonna pay me for this? Like, so
it's funny.
It is cool. I know, like a good mate of mine, like Corey Creed, they do a lot of stunt stuff. And I'm sort of always trying to like, hey, like,
gotcha. That's a good
let
gig.
me know. So we'll see what comes of it. But it was just a good experience, and try and do like a bit of everything, and something different, mix it up.
And what about the overseas trips? You've done India. Have you done anywhere else?
Nah, so I've actually only India was my first international race.
Alley, hey.
Yeah, so that was like the coolest experience. I was going to race in India last year. I got the call up to go do the last round. And like as a kid growing up, like your only goal was to ever like to race international. Usually it's America. India probably wasn't high on the list back as a
I
kid.
mean, we can just jump and letters up.
but like it was the coolest thing. And for me, like I barely had been riding. Mossy called me and was like, hey, like what are you doing next weekend? I'm like, oh, nothing. He's like, we need you in India, and got it all sorted. And I'm like so stoked that I got to experience that, because like even if I don't go racing in the States, like sort of that I can tick that off.
Yeah,
raced internationally, you know, got paid to go over there. Cool story, filmed it all, and yeah, it's just a good experience. Like such a different world and different country to what we're used to here.
Yeah,
but it was cool.
Yeah, it's a weird one. When I think India Supercross.
No,
Which,
yeah,
like,
I know.
Cricket, maybe a few scooters. Like, I'm not...
yeah. Well, it was like the first time they had any sort of dirt bike racing in India.
I mean, it seems like they did a phenomenal
They, like, I got to go to the last round. So the first few rounds they were figuring it out. The last round was honestly, like, probably ran better than what we get here in Australia. Like, the setup that they had and, you know, the resources they have with what the resources they have to what they actually produce was insane. Like, they had live TV, it was a really good program, they had commentators, they had, you know, everything. They had private, whole private VIP sections for every single team to go watch in. Like, riders got looked after like absolute kings, and it was just like, there was about 15,000 people there in the middle of this sort of like,
that's just nuts, isn't it?
Dump sort of looking place. Like, it was pretty impressive. Like, so hopefully I can go back and do that again this year would be cool. But yeah, it was really cool to do.
Well, I guess we'll segue into a few hot topics. Well, they don't have to be hot.
It's not hot because it's cold here right now.
I mean, it's if you can't tell,
it's cold.
I can tell you wearing a jacket.
Yeah.
Do you want a jet?
You're not wearing a jacket.
You can have one sleep. You're right. Dad joke. Zing. What's your thoughts on the Australian series, motocross, supercross racing, on the state of it, on the is it going up? Is it going down? Is there things you like? Is there things you don't like? Just
yeah, I mean, I haven't been doing motocross really for the last 2 years, so I can't comment too much. I think the biggest complaint is how like stretched out the calendar is.
The gaps.
Yeah, like the gaps. Like it's like you do a race, you have a month, everyone forgets about it, and then you do another one. It's kind of just doesn't feel like a series because
you
it's
know
such
what
a
I've
gap.
always found funny is that in America they race motocross in the summer, and then supercross indoors in the winter. It kind of makes sense. Like, you want the great outdoors, it's a nice day, it's beautiful. In motocross, like, you think of a Pro MX, and fuck, it's always wet, rain. It's like, typically
miserable.
It's usually like it's like a winter. It's backwards here. What do you think?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I've never even
like
posed
let's
that
say you go to
question
Marvel
anyone.
in July.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. Like the indoor sort of thing.
True.
So I've always thought that was interesting. We're kind of.
I just think we don't.
Backwards.
I think we don't have enough indoor stadiums to make that work.
True.
We've got one enclosed stadium, and then the rest could potentially be mudders. And no one wants to watch Supercross when it's muddy.
No, that's like, I see people say like, oh, Supercross, they need to do this, do that, and I think, man, like, it's such a gamble to run a Supercross event outdoors. You're like betting everything you're doing on 5 mil rain.
So much, like, so many more costs, like renting the stadiums and all that, for it to potentially just be an absolute mutter and be horrible. Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest reason why they don't do it during winter here.
I would make sense. Like, it genuinely would if they sat down and looked at the calendar and said, right, we only need one bit of rain at one event to rent. You know, our profit margin for the whole season, probably, maybe, potentially. I don't know how they work.
And it's not like the States. Like, the States would have so many more, like, say, like, tough blocks get ruined in the mud or whatnot. We've only got one set for the whole year. They've probably just got boxes and spares and spares and spares. So,
and manpower times.
Yeah, they got a whole crew that travels around. Like, so I think that's probably why. So I think that's the biggest thing with motocross, though, is the gaps in between. Just they could probably condense it by a month if they really wanted to.
I've spoken to a few, like, I've always sort of heard that they're spaced out to give the privateers time to go back to work, but for the majority of people I've spoken to, it's always like, we'd rather just get it over and done. Like, if we're going to do it, we do it properly, you take time off work. It's probably harder to try and juggle the both for 8 months rather than just hook in for, say, 4 months. And that's usually like what I hear people say, like, I'm not going to dog in the race anymore, everything, whatever. I would say from like a fan aspect too, it's you do lose a bit of the hype. Yeah, you kind of just, by round 3, you're like, whatever. Yeah. Because there's so much gap. But, I think, like, I remember back in the day, I'll say back in the day because we're old blokes. Like, back 1990.
I remember it was always like race weekend, one weekend off, race weekend off. So it was always kind of like every 2 weeks.
Correct.
And I reckon that was pretty sweet. I reckon that was good. Maybe you could do like occasionally you do 3 weeks and then, but I reckon like having every 2 weeks would be the go. And then you could shorten it by a month. That gives you more prep time for Supercross. And you could even get an extra Supercross in at the end of the year. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing with motocross is just condense it down a little bit. But Supercross is, I don't know if it's growing. I don't know if it's just kind of, it is where it's going to be in Australia. I don't think it's ever going to be like this huge, big series in Australia just because we don't have the numbers, we don't have the population for it. The series itself is pretty decent. I like the stadiums. I like the venues we went, this is just going off of last year. The stadiums, the venues were really good. Crowd numbers were good. So that was cool to see. It's definitely the biggest crowd numbers I've seen in the series since I've been racing Supercross. So that was cool. But it's just like, it seems like with the Supercross, it's like a different event every weekend. Like it's kind of like they're making it up on the fly. And it's like, oh, this week we're going to do a main or a B main. This week we're going to do three races in one night. This week and I know they kind of released it a little bit before, but there's not really a heap of consistency with the mains or the races or just stuff like that. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, but last year was okay.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shit show. Like, excuse my French. A bit of a shit show. As in, like, if you're not sort of Dean Wilson top level dude, then sort of like you don't really, and it's kind of in the same. They don't really care too much about the.
I'm going to say something no rider will probably be willing to say because I know how it gets perceived.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I really don't like seeing the super technical American spec Supercross tracks.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the time aspect, like an Australian rider will spend max 8 to 9 weeks a year riding Supercross.
Yeah.
An American rider, it's the bulk of their season. They get like a 12-week preseason, 17-week in-season, longer, 20 weeks. So all up, they're doing 30 weeks a year. We're doing 8 weeks, well, not me, everyone else is doing 8 weeks a year. It's like, but then you get, you just need to go harder or they can do it and this and that. It's like, no. Like,
nah.
If you had a quarter of the time to do a job as someone else, you're not going to do as good of a job.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's just human nature. Like it's...
Dude, I'll say it. We're just not at the level. Like we don't, like you said, we don't have the races. We don't have the years of experience that the US dudes do. So like, why cater for 2 or 3 dudes that come over and then make the rest of us or even some of the Aussie factory guys just look ridiculous?
Yeah.
Because we can't keep up.
I don't think anyone's in a stadium jerking off over like, 18 riders going head to toe.
Dude, rolling through, rolling, doubling through a set of whoops.
Personally, I'd rather see basic track where everyone's pretty quick and competitive, and it's like if this guy whole shots, he's gonna
he's got a chance.
Or if, like that guy's at the back, he's gonna have to battle through it. It's not so spread out, but you'll get sort of the old, I walked uphill to school both ways. And, they do it. Why can't you do it? And it's like,
well, I think.
Have you ever done a lap?
I know. Go get on and try and hit those whoops.
You always get the Facebook experts.
Well, it only takes prime example was last year at Redcliffe, first round. Let's slowly work into this season, guys. Let's build some whoops with a face like this.
I did say that.
Right? Let's try and kill everyone. There was 2 dudes that skimmed them properly. Dean Wilson, which is a given.
Yeah.
And Noah Ferguson because he just held it wide and got through them. But then the next day, because it was a double header, they flattened them down. They tamed the whoops off. Cloudy goes out and gets a main win. Looks sick. The Aussie crowd was stoked.
I want to see,
because he beat the American dudes, So but then following that, then they continue to make whoops like this and jumps real peaky. Like we don't need that as like for especially for Australians. There's so many crashes every week. There's so many dudes getting carted off. You can't make it safe. Like you're obviously not going to make it safe.
Nah,
I just say you can make it safer.
Yeah, like by the time you get to the end of a season, you probably could handle like a tough.
Yeah, you work into it a bit.
Track. Yeah, but like if you've just ridden 4 or 5 weeks of Supercross from motocross, like. Man, you're barely getting your feet under you at that point. And you slowly build up, and that's just natural, but it's such low-hanging fruit. Like, I know Danny Ham last year when the boost with Steve, I like Danny Ham.
He's a gun. I love Danny,
And if I was in his position, I probably would have done the same. It's such, low-hanging fruit to get everybody on board. Just don't be pussies. You're all these new school kids. I'm the old school fella, hit the whoops, but...
To his credit, too, he actually went and hit a
I
set of
did see
whoops.
that.
So I respect him for that, but they look pretty rolled.
A nice set of rolled whoops, first
whoops.
day, no one out there.
Yeah.
Man, I always say this to people, like when you're racing Supercross, when you practice, you feel like you're in control.
Yeah.
I've done a few laps, it's all good, I can line it up, the heart rate's about half of what it would be.
Yeah.
Even in qualifying at a Supercross, like you sort of still got the track to yourself. Man, you go out in the main event and you're in like mid-pack.
Yeah, it's different.
Dude, it's like you're in Vietnam.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just bombs going off.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
You're in the wrong gear coming out of the turn. Like someone's stuffing it up the inside.
Yeah.
Like, it was always so funny because in practice qualifying, you hit every berm, triple in, every berm, triple in. First lap of main or like first 3 laps, like you hit the berm, someone's diving the inside.
Yeah, you have to try and cut down or go around.
Now you're doing a rhythm you haven't done all day. And
Yeah.
it turns to chaos so quick.
Yeah.
Which, then it's not
It makes it different.
as easy,
Yeah, no, it definitely, and I think that comes back to having the promoters or whoever it is listening to riders or speaking to riders. Maybe they did, but I feel like there was no real like, hey guys, riders, what do you guys want?
It's so hard for a rider though. Like, are you going to be like, oh look, I'm scared of the track. Can you tame it down?
Yeah, but you just if you do that, you get absolutely crucified.
That's what I mean. Like, it's so hard to be. If we could do like a, I don't know, like a nameless paper ballot.
Yeah.
Do you want the track harder or easier?
Yeah, like it just, so I think there needs to be more communication from track builders, promoters to riders, and not just riders, because they'll go and ask the 3 factory dudes, like, hey, what do you think? They'll be like, yeah, cool, no worries, it's all good, leave the track. But then there's another, 75, 80% of the riders that will probably be like, maybe let's just tame it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's got to be that in between. And then I feel like, there has been times, Newcastle 23, there was this gnarly set of whoops, same thing, whoops. And I said to one of the track guys, I said, hey, like, are we going to touch those whoops up throughout the day? And he just looked at me and said, nah, it's all good, leave it. And like, just literally like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And then Jake Cannon crashed real bad. Another guy crashed real bad. I crashed real bad. Heaps, and just took heaps of dudes out. I was like, well, that's easy fix. Like,
yeah.
So
those things do irritate me a bit. Like,
yeah, me too.
Especially when you've been through the process of getting hurt and doing all that.
Yeah.
It does, like, there's something deep inside. I was like, you could have just.
Yeah, you could have just fixed
like,
that.
And is it worth it to? I mean, you can't wrap everyone in a bubble wrap. People will probably be commenting like, "Oh, you're a pussy, this, that, the other."
No, yeah. You'd like, no matter what, you could ride a flat track and it's still got an element of danger. You know what I mean? So, but there is ways to do it properly. Even in the States, like, their whoops are obviously big, their tracks are big, but everything's got good, pretty, like a good amount of dirt to it.
That's what it's about, huh?
It's like kind of, not peaky, it's rolled a little bit. There's options that you can go for or whatever, and so you make it gnarly, or you can clean, safely get through sections, or even jump through whoops if you need to, because here it's like you can't jump through whoops because they're like this in the middle, and then they're like this, and then you can't skim them if you're not at that level, so it's like, what are you doing, rolling?
So to get into like the specifics, like, you can have long or high distances, but it's more about
the amount of dirt they put on it.
Yeah, so if it's steep and peaky, like a really steep peaky, say 5 meter double is far more dangerous than say something a little bit more mellower that's 10 meters.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
have a bit of room for
you have a bit of room.
error.
So, and I think that's just, we need to realize that we're not at the level of the States and probably never going to be. So we need that sort of like good sort of step down from what they have, and
just toughen up, mate. You'll be right.
Yeah, I'll just hit it. No worries.
I need to work on Monday.
yeah, I know. And everyone,
millions out of
I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, you just need to be better. Just be better. So I wish I could be better, but like,
hey, give me $100 grand, mate. I'll go and train for 6 months.
Well, exactly right. And I mean, and most of the riders in the series are all self-funded. If you put a number to it, there's a lot more self-funded riders than guys on salaries.
Yeah.
So, do you want to lose over half a field, or do you, cater for it a little bit? So
yeah,
there's certain things like that. And then we just need to get rid of solid tough blocks, and I'll be
solid tough blocks. What's
dude? Solid polystyrene tough blocks, they don't move. They're like, they just, you hit them, and I framed case one last year. Well, not frame case, it was on the track. And I went over a section first lap. It was kind of like stepped in on the track. I landed on it. I've got a photo of my Supercross suspension bottomed out on a tough block. The tough block didn't even move.
So they're like the white polystyrene.
Yeah, solid.
So that's like what we put on the concrete slab.
Yeah, I know. I know. And they bought them in last year at the second round or Wollongong. And it took out a heap of dudes there, and took out a heap of dudes in Adelaide, and they're just bad news. Bad news. And then so the thing with that was like, well, after the first round when it took out a few riders said something, and they're like, well, we've spent 20, 30 grand on these tough locks, we have to use them now. Like, I don't care about your bloody 20, 30 grand. What about the riders that are all hurting themselves and then not making the series? So
it's always a tough one, yeah. Like I have a lot of empathy for the organisers, like obviously, and you probably, like you run a business, you understand
I understand it. Yeah,
you'll see people complain about something, but then when you know the backstory to it, it's like, well, it kind of has to, like it's such a difficult thing to make that any different, this, that, the other. But there's obviously things where you got to meet in the middle, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I always used to see people hang shit on the WSX World Supercross.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you have any idea how hard it would be to organise an international event in a country where you don't speak the language, you're trying to build tracks and organise it. Like, dude, that is such a monumental undertaking. Like, most people struggle paying their bloody phone bill. Yeah. Like the average, you know, like they haven't. So like to try and do that and have it perfect, TV, like it's impossible.
And I've always said, I don't envy the organisers or the promoters at all, because that job would suck.
Yeah, 100%. Like they deserve credit.
Yeah, 100%. They run a really good series, and there's a lot of good things, but there's also things that need to change as well.
Rolling cost nothing.
Yeah. And that's a little bit of case of like, no one wants to be in the wrong. No one wants to be like, oh yeah, we stuffed up, let's change it, because no one likes admitting that there is a problem. And when they're pouring in money, it's a little bit hard to be like, oh no, we will go back on that. So they kind of, and
I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. Like, and if people can throw things out left, right, and center, but if the business don't make money, the business don't operate next year.
Exactly, and that's
where they might be there going, fuck, like we're not even profiting off this thing, and we're about, you want us to spend another like 50K on. Like, well, then we couldn't operate next year. It's always, there's so many layers to it. I just want to add that in every now and again.
Yeah, it's like that's the reality. I can sit here as a rider and complain all I want, and people just like, oh, you're just a sook. But like, I've been in it for a long time, so there's things I know that can be done better.
Anyone that thinks there's a sook, come to my house. You can ride my bike. We've got to put a polystyrene. What is it?
A solid polystyrene box. We're
gonna put that on a down ramp. I'm gonna make you jump on it.
It's not good. Like, I would
That's
rather.
Basically just like a punch in the face.
I would rather land on like the hay bales I used to have.
Gotcha.
Because hay bales had a bit of give.
They got a bit of
they
movement.
Just don't move. I mean, that's just one thing, and it sucks because I got caught, because it was like kind of a few riders got caught and then I got caught, so then I was even more pissed because it was me, and it wasn't even my fault because it was like stepped in on the track and like someone had put it sort of more on the track, so I was extra pissed about it, and then I was just like, you guys need to get rid of these things. So there's more. Like, I'm sure you get any rider on here, they're going to have their own thing that they might complain about. It might be something completely different. And, but as an overall, like, cool. This series, good numbers, good crowds. Like, riders keep coming back, I guess. So yeah.
I mean, who else is going to do it? It's
a thankless job. Like what those guys do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're sort of setting yourself up for failure too. Like, you got so many moving parts. It's impossible to do it all right.
Yeah.
Everyone's a critic.
And that's the thing. It's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, never going to be perfect, but it could be a little bit better, but...
Yeah. Can a girl ever win a main event Supercross?
I knew this one was coming.
I
knew this one was coming.
AJ
Canzaro.
We were just talking earlier.
I think if you take the top level women's rider in the States or MXGP or wherever, and the top level Supercross rider on a Supercross track, if she has a year to prepare, I still don't think that she's going to be able to do what a Jet Lawrence can do on a Supercross track. And that's not really, I don't think that's not it's not necessarily, well, it is a little bit of a skill thing, but it's like, it's not physically, their bodies, women are not physically made or the same as a man's body. It's just human nature, and the argument I sort of had with AJ was like, not that he replied to me, but I said, look, you look at like Olympic sports, you look at like the male sprinters and the female sprinters, they train exactly the same. They're mentally prepared the same. They all want to win, so they're mentally in the winning state. But no matter what, the female times have always historically been slower than the female. Than the male, So, and I think that'd be the same with Supercross. Yes, a girl, and Vicky Golden's done it, and she's made a night show. Insane. Like, that's so sick. Yes, she could be better than a lot of Supercross riders, male Supercross riders, but I don't think she'd ever make it to the level of the top male Supercross riders.
No, and to expect her to is a disservice to her
exactly
level.
right.
It's like, you are the best in the world with what you've got.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
But then to try and say, well, what you've got should be the same as these people.
Yeah, and that's...
It's just like denying reality.
Well, yeah, and it's like you said, it's actually putting a downer on the women's series.
100%. Like you're expecting
it's like,
something.
Yeah, it's like, oh, cool, the women's have this awesome US series, but you're not quite going to be in the level of the males.
Yeah.
But let's like focus and pump up the women's series and then maybe give them their own Supercross series.
Yeah.
Because I would, like, that would be awesome.
Epic.
That's
yeah,
where...
celebrate the winner.
Yeah, that's where it needs to be, is like, don't worry about this argument of can they beat a male Supercross rider. Let's build their Supercross, their motocross series,
build them up. Politically correct take.
And then give them their own series. Because I know if I, not that I have kids, but if I had a daughter and I would, and she rides bikes, I would want her to have a series full of women to look 100%. Up to and race and be like, I want to go race women's Supercross.
Yeah. And
that's where I want to get to. Not like get to the top level of women's motocross and be like, well, there's nowhere really left for me to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, they're so talented, some of the women on bikes now.
Like, I remember watching Elijah.
I seen Eliza Dennis.
Yeah, she rips.
Insane. And like, you can see the skill and the talent come through. But I mean, you try and send the female for a big set of whoops.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you know, and then you got like a Jed Beaton or a Cobb.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, it's just,
it's like, it's just human nature, human build, like
exactly
how they're built. Yeah. But like, you know, like Courtney Duncan can absolutely smoke me around a motocross track.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I'm pretty sure Charlie Cannon would like
hose
me right.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just
this is not like
a... No, I'm glad that I don't have to race Charlie, because I know she'd smoke me on a motocross track. But Supercross is that little bit different, where you need that sort of that body build and that 100%. Body type to do just certain things, the way that you have to move on a bike to be able to get around a Supercross track.
Yeah, like everything's well and good when it's perfect.
Yeah.
But the chance of it being perfect on a Supercross track for 20 laps is...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No one's perfect on a Supercross track.
No, like I can do a ribbon section great right now. You take me out there, but I ain't doing it for 20 laps.
Yeah. So I think...
And that's where the strength and the
where it comes into play. So I'd love to see the women get their own Supercross series. I think that would be the cool... Like, that would be awesome to see. But, like, it's a tricky one.
You mentioned before that Hayden Deegan's only good because he's had everything handed to him. What makes you think that?
Oh, Jack, come on. That's throwing me under the bus. That is throwing me under. I'm like, everyone hates him. Like, everyone, I love him. I'm a massive fan because he just purely wants to win.
Yeah.
He just doesn't give a stuff. He wants to win so bad.
Yeah. And I respect like the effort and competence. That's all I give a shit about.
Yeah.
And you know the way he markets himself, like that's a planned strategy. And I respect it so much.
Oh,
it's like,
dude, I would just...
When you intentionally stir people up and you get the reaction, like the people that don't understand that's what it is.
I know.
Respect the hard work that goes in it.
But the people that like don't understand it and get razzed up about it are exactly the people they're doing it for.
Exactly, yeah.
That gets them the views, that gets them the clicks. And dude, I would pay so much money to just spend a week with Brian and the family just to like just understand the method to the madness.
But even like I'm so skeptical on some things, right? Like the most famous mugshot ever was like Trump.
Yeah.
And you see the Trump shirts everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, 2-3 months later, Hayden's just got this like innocent little charge.
Yeah.
Now he's on a shirt like 4 had gear ready 3 days later.
Yeah.
That was like that's the world's best marketing strategy right there. Was that a coincidence? Or, you know, and of course every dickhead's on the internet going, oh, he's fucking out doing the wrong thing. It's like, bro, he just made like $1 million.
He's an 18, 19-year-old kid in the RA.
Like, a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I was doing crazy. That in an old Commodore U, you know. But no, dude, they're actual genius with their marketing and with their whole thing. It helps that he's really good. Like he is honestly really good, and everyone you kind of...
It doesn't work unless you win.
Exactly right.
Like, he was out getting 4th.
He'd be cancelled big time.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone that you kind of speak to that's in the scene, that's in the know, say that he works like no one else.
Like you can't not. It's just not even like to think. Yeah, that's anything other than just hard work is.
No,
You're
yeah.
delusional. You've
Yeah,
obviously
you
never
can-
had success in your own life to realize what it takes.
Exactly.
to
You
do
could
it.
have him and me side by side. If I had everything that he had growing up, I guarantee there's no way I'd be what he is.
No,
Just because I'm not that person that works as hard as him. I don't have that level of talent and skill and determination. Like, I'm pretty cruisy, laid back.
Yeah.
So if we had the exact same, opportunities growing up, he would still be 10 times better than me. So it's not everything's just handed to him. It helps. It helps. Yeah.
But there's instances, like, I don't know about you, like, but since I raced young, like, if I go back and look at, say, a program from the 2010 Junior Aussies, or even go back a little bit further, 2006, the riders that were all winning then and had everything handed to them and had all the best bikes, they usually burn out partying and doing drugs by 16, 17.
Yeah.
Like, they're sick of it.
Yeah.
They've had enough. Like, when you put a lot of pressure on a kid, give them everything, then put them on easy street.
Yeah.
I find more often than not, that's more detrimental in the long run.
Yeah, they go backwards, they go the other way.
Whereas you get those gritty underdogs that they just love it, but they've got the old bike, they've never had everything. Like, over time, that, like, the mentality of it, the mindset compounds, and they actually find more success later on.
Well, like, you look at, like, Jed Beaton,
Yeah.
Tassie kid, not probably coming from Tassie, he's not the easiest route
I
to
think
get
he was
to
always
where.
on second-hand bikes.
Yeah, always on, probably not the best equipment. Kyle Webster's worked hard for it, so they're two of the top dudes here in
Webster
Australia.
did, like, a couple junior Aussies as a kid. Like, he used to miss it.
Yeah, exactly. And they're hungry and they want it and they keep sort of, keep wanting it. Whereas if they did have everything, then like you said, maybe they'd be burned out. So that's where I actually respect Deegan even more.
It's like,
because he has every opportunity to go, oh, well, I don't want to race and I'm still going to be set for life.
100%.
But he
Like, he can
wants to do
retire
it.
today. Yeah. Well, not even today, 5 years ago.
He could just live off of Brian's.
Which for most people, if you said, look, you don't have to do any hard work ever again.
And you're going to be set.
Everything you want.
Yeah.
They're going to be like,
Yeah, exactly.
Do I want to go cycling at 4 in the morning?
Yeah, do I want to go risk my life every time I get in a
Exactly.
bike? Like, no way. So,
And boot out of stadiums for, like...
Yeah, exactly.
Things like
He's
that.
got some thick skin. He's definitely a mini Brian. Like, he's like got that sort of that dog in him, as everyone says.
I think when you're aware of it, like, you have the awareness of what that sort of, like, character is and that brand, it makes it a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
And they study it because, like, he obviously plays off the countryside of things, waving the American flag. He gives a little bit of banner here and there. Like, it's very, I don't think everything's planned out methodical, but they obviously understand the strategy well. And when you understand it, it makes it a lot easier to deal with the hate.
Yeah.
Like, I know for me personally, I'll spell fuel wrong, like fuel drum, and dip it onto bikes, and like, and then you just, you're getting them mad. Yeah. It's so easy.
You get a reaction.
Just sit there.
Yeah, you get a reaction. Yeah.
But if you're not expecting it, maybe, and you're like just posting something that you think is going to be cool and awesome, and everyone's calling you a dickhead, that's maybe when, like, it gets a bit harder.
Yeah. They've got it sorted. Like, he's going to be the next, well, he's already kind of the biggest star in Supercross right now. And, the most followers, the most YouTube followers. Like, so, they probably make more money off their YouTube than what his salary would be from Star, like pretty close. Yeah. So they're pretty set, and you can see it. Like, any team's going to do anything they can to have him. So it's cool to watch. Yeah.
Anything else, mate?
No, I think I'm just freezing my ass off over here. But
yeah,
well, I heard that you were going to race some Supercross this year. Is that true? Or?
No, you must say anybody trying to for that one.
I don't know. You looked pretty good on those whoops yesterday.
I mean, I still do it.
Yeah.
What I find as I get older is I still got the speed.
Yeah.
For a lap.
Yep.
And I still got it on the second lap. I'm about to die.
Yeah.
On the third lap, I usually hit the ground. I found that. It's so funny. It's so tempting because, like, I ride and I'm like, man, I still got it. Which you do, like, skill-wise, you still got the speed.
Yeah.
I've hit the ground and got hurt so many times trying to make, like, get back into it.
Yeah, and that's the trap. You're always like, I probably will retire or I'll stop racing. And you go ride at a practice day and you rip for a couple laps. You're like,
yeah, it's
I
funny.
can still do this. I can still do this. And then you get to a race and you're 10 minutes in, you're like, nah, this is a bad choice.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but
it's...
I mean, dude, honestly, I just love riding my bike. Like, I always have.
Sometimes I wish I was more like you, because I'm like, I can't do something.
Like, you ride your bike for a purpose, sort of thing.
Exactly. Like, everything has to be moving forward.
Yeah.
Progress, goal orientated. Like, I derive the happiness from getting the result.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't get it just from doing it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that's it's two different mindsets.
Dude, I just, like, ever since I was a kid, grew up on a farm. So I'd get on a bike and go ride for hours. And I could be riding in a paddock, pretending I'm doing the, Australian Safari or the Dakar or whatever in a paddock. I just love riding. And I think I still have that now, which is still why I'm riding, and will probably continue to ride until I can't walk.
Legend, mate.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Go.